Eddie Hall had recently posted a video of himself testing his punching power. And I'm not going to lie, he punches way harder than I think most people would have expected him to. Now, the title of the video that he posted was, "Can I punch harder than Francis Ngannou? Punching power test." Of course, in the video, like I said, he tests his punching power and compares it to the punching power of Francis Ngannou. And from the test, it was found that his punching power is only 10% less than that of Francis Ngannou's punching power. Now, while I do have the utmost respect for Eddie Hall because he's done things that no man should be able to do, I think that there's a little bit more context to this situation and to the test that we do need to analyze. And honestly, it's pretty hard to believe that his punching power is just 10% weaker than Francis Ngannou, and I'll tell you why. Before I do, just to give you some background on Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall is one of the world's strongest men. He won the world's strongest man back in 2017. He won Britain's strongest man from 2014 to 2018, won UK's strongest man from 2011 to 2016, and then won England's strongest man in 2010 and 2011. So he has an incredibly impressive resume when it comes to how strong of a person and how strong of a man that he is. And now, like most influencers, he's starting to experiment with the sport of boxing. And from a personal standpoint, I don't always think that it's the greatest idea to experiment with a combat sport if it's not something that you have previous history in, or it's not something that you have previously trained in or are just familiar with. The reason I say this is because sports like MMA and boxing, it takes years to just become decent at the sport. The mind and body is only so malleable, and while there's this saying that it's never too late to start something, sometimes it actually is a little bit too late. And I say that because you can't just step in a ring and have no previous history of boxing or MMA, whatever the sport may be. It's step in the ring or octagon with somebody that has trained in that area for a certain amount of time. I mean, we all saw what happened to Nate Robinson.
He's trying to get
And if you need more proof, this is how Thor Hapsforsen, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, so I'll just call him Thor H. This is how Thor H fought his fight.
These jabs here, but he's bringing his hands back very low every time. Oh, and a big left hook has caught him.
Back to the point. So because Eddie Hall is experiencing with the sport of boxing, it would make sense that he would try to test his punching power just to see how hard he can punch. And again, as I mentioned before, it was found that his punching power was only within 10% of Francis Ngannou. Here's the problem with the situation, and here's a problem why I say that there's a little bit more context to this. This is how Eddie Hall was punching. Look at how much effort he's putting into the punch. He looks like he's covered in baby oil, but I'm assuming that's sweat from how much effort that he's putting into these punches. To throw these punches, it's obvious that Eddie Hall has to put absolute and maximum effort and focus into them. Now, this is what it takes Francis Ngannou to knock somebody out.
in Paris as they bring in guys.
Ngannou knocks Arlovsky down. That is it.
Okay, you see the difference, right? Eddie Hall is throwing everything into his punch, almost like he's throwing a baseball into the pad. He's basically charging the pad repeatedly. I know the video I showed is Francis Ngannou knocking somebody out, but there is a video of him doing the power punching test. It's just a very edited video, but even from the short clip in the video, you can tell that Francis Ngannou was not putting nowhere near the effort that Eddie Hall was putting into this punching power test. So in this video of Francis Ngannou knocking someone out, even though it's not a video of the power punching test, it's still a good display and a great demonstration of the power in Francis Ngannou's punch. Now in this knockout, he's backing up and uppercutting the guy, and there's almost no effort in the punch he threw, but he was still able to damn near turn the guy's head around. With that said though, what I will say, Eddie Hall still has an impressive punch, and it's not easy to have that much power behind your punch. Of course, he's bigger and stronger than Ngannou, but how hard you punch is not always about how big and strong you are. There's a lot of technique that goes into being able to punch hard and having power behind your punch. What I will say, though, about Eddie Hall is that it looks like he has way better technique and power in his punch than Thor had. And I think these two are supposed to fight at some point, which will be very entertaining to watch. And these are the fights that should be had when it comes to people experimenting with the sport of boxing or experimenting with the sport outside of their realm. A powerlifter should not come into the ring and fight someone who has trained in the sport of boxing or MMA, because in my opinion, you're setting yourself up and you're putting yourself in a very dangerous spot. It would be the same thing vice versa. Can you imagine if Tyson Fury just decided he's going to do a world's strongest man competition and only train for 6 months to a year? He would damage every single joint in his body. But guys, that's the end of the video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Make sure that you do like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later.